Previously on Project Pro Gamer, Matty tried out eye tracking glasses to find out where he's looking compared to Formula 1 driver Kevin Magnussen. And after seeing the results, Matty has a lot to work on. In this week's episode, with only 1 week to go until Matty attempts to qualify for the Nissan GT Sport Cup, we find out how psychology and the way your mind is programmed can be even more important than driving skill.
If you're anywhere near as competitive as I am, then you'll probably have the same problem that I do, keeping a cool head and not letting things get out of hand when something doesn't go to plan. Well, fortunately for me, I was able to spend some time with Chris Gooder, who works with a current Formula 1 driver on all things psychology, and more importantly with what we're focusing on today, the chimp model. The chimp model is broken down into 3 areas. 2 of these areas are for thinking and 1 is for doing. The 2 thinking areas are known as the human and the chimp. The human is logical, rational, and thinks of all the consequences before coming to a conclusion. An F1 example of this would be, I will let my teammate through because my team told me to. The chimp, however, is purely based on emotion and would be saying, F this shit, I'm done being a wingman and I'm winning this race whether you like it or not. In a nutshell, your brain is in constant conflict between your emotional and logical thinking. And this is where the third, doing part comes in, otherwise known as your computer. The computer is processing information from both areas to attempt to make an informed decision which you have absolutely no control over. The key is to knowing when you are thinking with your human and when you're thinking with your chimp, and then taking the best bits out of both. This is exactly where a trained, superhuman F1 driver and a normal person differ. Just imagine how much training you would need to manage your chimp to not be going absolutely bananas, excuse the pun, as the 5 red lights come on at the start of a Formula 1 race with millions of people watching and your job on the line for every corner of the next 70 laps. Exactly, it's pretty difficult. A big thing that F1 drivers work on is realistic goal setting, making sure that what they're trying to achieve is not so far-fetched that they're setting themselves up for failure. Taking small steps is much better than constantly trying to take a big jump and failing. An F1 example of this is easy. Ricciardo will not be going to Renault in 2019 expecting great results. Instead, he'll be looking to build the team piece by piece ready for 2021. For me personally, for this series, I just want to qualify for the Nissan GT Sport Cup because I know the people I'll be going up against are world class. What I found really interesting to learn is that winning at the pinnacle of any sport is as much down to coping with mental pressure as it is natural skill. In my case, you of course need to set quick lap times, but not allowing the pressure of a certain situation to overcome you is much more important in helping to achieve your potential. If your chimp takes over, you'll start to sweat, shake, breathe heavily, and all of this will affect your overall performance on track. Compare this to someone who is calm and relaxed. Well, I guess you can work out who's most likely to win. Speaking of sweating and breathing heavily, I've worked pretty damn hard to try and improve my fitness from week 1's episode, going to the gym late in the evening, smashing out cardio session after cardio session, and eating salad pretty much every day apart from 1 cheat meal a week from Domino's. Other pizzas are available. Now, stepping aboard the How Fat Is Matt machine with Jack from episode 1 alongside me, I'm praying to God I see some kind of improvement in my body fat reading. Right, no more stalling for time, this is the moment of truth. Have I improved in just 3 weeks? So Jack, you're holding the man that I am now, I'm holding the man that I used to be. Run me through the results.
Yeah, so key results are that we made some good changes. Your weight is down by pretty much 2 kilos.
Nice.
It was before 89.3, now 87.4, and the pleasing result there is that's come almost exclusively from fat mass. Your muscle mass has stayed identical, which is great, and that's a testament to the dietary intervention of keeping your protein intake relatively high, as well as the exercise, almost like a use it or lose it approach.
Because some people might be sat there thinking, oh, but Matt, you've been working out for 3 weeks, how come you've not got more muscle? But that's not the training that you've set me.
Yeah, our training was designed to get you lighter, to lose weight, and specifically fat mass. It's difficult to gain muscle mass in that same sort of state. So our main goal is to try to maintain that as much as we can. And it's common for muscle mass to decrease a little bit, so the fact that you kept it exactly the same is a real positive. And that means you have an even more profound change in your body fat percentage that before was 21.6 and a little bit above the normal range, now to exactly 20, which is just within the normal range, which is great. Again, in such a short period of time is really pleasing to see. And also a change in your visceral fat, which is the specific type of fat that we spoke about before with negative health implications. It's a little bit higher than what we wanted it to be before, but it's come down a lot closer to the level that we'd want it to be. Still a little bit more room to go there, but this is indication that even in such a short period of time that we're on the right lines and just continue doing that. And you can make that change. Perfect motivation to keep going. Thank you very much, Jack. No problem. Well done.
The How Fat Is Matt machine was not the only test I had in week 1 either. Oh no. It's time for the VO2 max test, which measures how much oxygen my body is able to intake under serious physical exertion. I achieved a score of 36 last time. Let's see how I do second time round. Results, Jack. Please put me out my misery.
Yep, so in terms of the bike results, Matt, it's worth saying before we start that 3 weeks isn't a massive amount of time to see major improvements. Any improvements would be a positive, and pleasingly you've made improvements across the board. So your maximum power output that you managed to achieve in this test has gone up from 240 to 280 watts on this occasion. Okay. Your heart rate at respective stages was lower on this occasion, which means your body's not being having to be worked as hard to produce the same power outputs, which is great. Your time to exhaustion has gone up from 10 minutes before to 11 minutes and 10 seconds now. And your VO2 max, 36 to 37, which is a good improvement. Sounds only small, but we wouldn't expect massive changes in such a small time, if any. So the fact that that's gone up is great.
Perfect, I improved. That concludes our training camp to be an esports gamer, where all is left to do now is fly to Barcelona for the final episode of this Project Pro Gamer series and take part in the Nissan GT Sport Cup, where firstly I'll try and qualify through the wildcard route, and then secondly try and do well in the actual competition itself. I have eaten healthily, I've worked hard in the gym, I have learnt about my psyche and my mental well-being to deal with pressure, and also been playing the game itself. So I feel like I've trained enough to hopefully do well, so let's go to Barcelona.